Hello, fellow traders. Tis I, the Rumpled One, coming to you on Wednesday, September the 28th. The year's 2022. Let's talk trading. The past is over with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine. Walmal, we were talking before we started the video, and you had said something about you missed a trade because.
Because I was worried about what I had made on a previous trade, and especially in the last, I guess now it's been over a week now, with the market moving so radically quickly, trades set up so quickly right now with the way I'm trading, and you don't have time to sit there and just sit there and gloat on what you've won or or commiserate on what you lost. The reality is if the method's a good method and you don't have time for that and you shouldn't be doing that. And so what I had done was I picked up, I wasn't sure if I picked up how much, and I think I picked up like 4 or 5 pips, maybe 6 pips. I don't remember. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this. But because of that, I missed out on a great trade where potentially, I never would have gotten this, but potentially you could have picked up 30 pips. It's missed a great opportunity because I was more worried about what I did as opposed to what was actually happening in front of me. Now, so that's something that we have to pay attention to, Pay attention to what's going on in the chart. You don't worry about what happened in the past. Take care of what's happening right now in front of you. The present is what matters to you, and I can see all types of places where this could, really cost you and, put you in a bad position. Imagine you're, okay, yay, I got out of, let's say you were in a situation where you had to average in, or you decided to stack in because the trade was going in your direction, and you decided to take some profit off the table, and so what you did is you went and did that, and you're paying more attention to how much profit you took off the table, and then something happens, and now you're in a bad situation because you weren't paying attention to what was going on the charts, and you took something that was profitable, could have still been profitable, and you actually turned it into a wreck, So the thing is, it's sort of like I think about, when my daughter, when I was first teaching her how to drive, many moons ago, it was the type of thing where she went and she always had problems making left-hand turns. She'd always sweep wide, I'd almost go up onto, we live out in the country, but if we were in the city, it would almost be like going into a parked car or going into a sidewalk, and she finally one day got it. She finally got it under, and she was able to make the turns correctly, and she wasn't sweeping wide, and she Dad, I'm not sweeping wide anymore. I'm not sweeping wide. And then what happens is she's not paying attention, and there's this clown come down the road, and he was on the wrong side of the street. It's like, pay attention. You're going to get hit by that car coming in your direction. And that's, that's kind of like trading sometimes. If we're not paying attention to what we just accomplished and resting on our laurels and resting and gloating or being in misery, we could literally have a train coming at us, and really pay the penalty for that.
Or like you say, or you missed the opportunities, probably the biggest thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I can't even. I look back at the chart, and we're all guilty of this too, And that is that you look back at the chart, it's like, there was a trade. Well, why didn't I take that trade? I know why. Because I was paying attention to what was going on, in my browser. I was paying attention to my emails, looking at a text message, and you missed the opportunity.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen all day long.
yeah. At top of the hour, it just shot up 8 pips, just like that.
Yeah. This has been a crazy, crazy market. It's. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on, but there's lots of opportunity to make a lot of money here. There's lots of opportunity to lose a lot of money too. Let's be honest about it.
Oh yeah.
But, so we need to be careful, and stick to our rules, be disciplined, and if you stick to your rules and are disciplined, you'll come out on top. It's I'm not saying now. for me, I've been very, very fortunate because I've done very, very well in this market. But, the part of that, I think, is because paying attention to what I'm doing. More times than not, I'm paying attention to what's going on and not worrying about what I just did. Yeah, I go back and I look, but it's sort of like, I have the trade report up on my screen, and what's good about that is that gives me, for the day, I know exactly where I am for the day. I may not know exactly where I am for a particular trade, but I know where I am exactly for the day. And that's, at the end of the day, I don't care about one particular trade where I made 4 pips or 5 pips. I care about, at the end of the day, did I make goal? Because that's what really matters.
Right.
So you're going to pay attention to something. Pay attention to that trade report, because you just put it on the screen. It doesn't take up very much space. You can glance down and immediately know where you're at.
Boy, this market, look at that, man. This thing's reversing and reversing.
Yeah. It's, the only thing I've been, if anybody's curious, I've been reading out on Bloomberg, and I've been, and the Wall Street Journal, I've been paying attention out there to see what's going on. And I know a lot of these guys are saying that, that with the financial markets, what's going on right now, countries are sort of like basically warring with each other to see who can get their inflation down best, fastest, and quickest. And of course, one of the best ways to do that is raise interest rates, and by raising interest rates, that there's all types of unintended consequences to it, some good and some bad, and so and I think that's probably what's causing a lot of this movement that's going on. The U.S. keeps on raising their interest rates and talking about it. They've been talking about it over in France this week, that they had some type of basically a meeting of the central banks is essentially what it was. I forget the name of the conference that they had, but so these guys, after they have their meetings, they come out and they say things. Sometimes they don't say it very eloquently, and the market reacts violently to it, and then somebody comes in and cleans up their mess and and fixes what they said. And so that's not really what he meant. He said it, yeah, he said it, but he didn't mean that. And I think we got a lot of that. I mean, you look at it today, we've already got a daily range today of 300 pips. And you look at yesterday. Yesterday was a slow day because we only had a daily range of 186 pips on the pound dollar. And that's crazy. That's like going back to 2008, 2009.
Right.
And we're off the bottom of today, but the reality is, we're in a historic territory right now. We really are. We have not been. The pound has never been down here before, and that's gonna.
Well, actually, since the '80s, I saw that and heard that on the news again yesterday. I mean, when it was down to that 103 level.
Yeah, it was that the 103. I think it was like 1985, I believe.
Yeah,
that's what I read. But other than that, you think about that. That's how many years ago was that? That's 40 years ago.
Right.
So most traders who are trading today may not have even been alive back then.
Yeah.
And most of the traders who were trading back then, they're probably completely out of the game at this point.
Right.
But it's just it's causing all types of uneasiness. Nobody knows what's going to go on. We had that huge surprise in England, with the new prime minister there, and we had the huge surprise on Sunday in Italy with their new prime minister who was elected, and so these are things, you think about the parliament over in Italy is extremely, extremely, liberal slash left leaning, and they go and vote in the most conservative candidate. And it's like things are, I'm not saying that's good or it's bad. All I'm saying is that just shows you the type of turmoil that's happening. If that's happening on the political level, it's going to affect the financial level as well.
Right.
It has no choice but. And so what do? Well, we can't dwell on what happened on Sunday. What we can do is trade what that has caused us here today on, on Wednesday. Trade Wednesday's charts, and, make some money off of Wednesday's charts, and don't worry about what happened on Sunday.
Exactly. Well, we crossed the 106 line to the upside.
Yep, and it's. And not too long ago, we're challenging the 105. We didn't get all the way down there. We did get down to the 40 line.
Yeah,
and
launch pad.
your famous place, and where it likes to launch out of, and once again, they did it, and these are patterns, and that's the thing. The one thing I'll say about the past, pay attention to the past from the perspective of what has it done? What has it done in the past when it gets to certain levels? What is it like to do when it gets to certain psychological numbers? I don't know there's some type of psychological thing that happens at every 40 block, on the chart. I don't know what it is, but it likes to explode out of there. I can't explain it. I don't understand why. But what I can say is that by looking back in the past, I can see it happening over and over and over again. And what it also likes to do is it'll explode out of the 40, go into the 60s, and make some type of decision, sit there and oscillate back and forth through it, and then it'll either continue on its way up or it'll fall back into the 40s again. And that's just what it does over and over again. So that's the past that you need to know. Know those patterns, because they can help you out a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what produces the statistics, and that's
exactly right. You're exactly right, sir. It does create those statistics, and and you can sit there and see it. I said something to you earlier, and that is that I've got 17 trades today, and 2 were buys and 15 were sells, and I'm up pretty big today. And the thing is, I didn't consciously go out there and say I was not going to take any buys, but it seems that all my 2 losses came on my buy trades, and all 15 of my sells were wins. Kind of tells you something. When you got a day that's really pointing down hard, maybe that's something to pay attention to. Pay attention to your M30, pay attention to your H1, pay attention to your daily. And I know you'd add in the H4. I don't look at the H4, but I can see a lot of relevancy looking at the H4.
Yeah, it's I'm as you were talking just now, I'm flashing through the charts just so that the traders out there can see it. But we're 2,923 pips below the yearly open. I mean, this is just unprecedented. Oh, yesterday we had an inside bar and we actually broke it at 106.49. There's a lot of inside bars yesterday.
Yeah. I see that.
And then we're on a 300 pip range right now on the pound. We've got the pound Aussie is actually they're in second. The pound New Zealand's at 467 and the pound yen's at 412. The dollar yen's only at a 48 pip range.
Yeah, I think the part of this is because the pound and the dollar, the yen and the dollar, they're assuming the same monetary policy, so they're going to mimic each other a little bit. Whereas the pound and the dollar, the BRICS and the U.S. are kind of taking separate roads on how they're going to manage this worldwide crisis that we're in.
Right.
So that could be good for one currency and not so good for another, and that's just the way it is.
Hey, we actually
we're almost out of time here.
Yeah, we actually took out today's pivot. Weekly, no. Monthly, no. And we were through the wick zone. And the scalper is just going. It just looks crazy. And we're definitely in the lower ATR zone. So, fellow traders, pay attention to what's going on now and forget the last trade. because it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.